What is up, everybody? My name is Pat Rappy, and today for you guys I have brought a list of top 25 Pokemon with the highest HP stat. Now keep in mind that I'm not going to be putting any legendaries in here because let's face it, their stats are a bit overpowered as it is, and I doubt I'll ever see a Pokemon, well, a normal type of Pokemon that can, pretty much beat them as easily. So come on, let's start off this list. Up on number 25, we are starting off the list with the Ice Break Pokemon, Vaporean. Now let me tell you, I loved using this Pokemon in Pokemon Emerald, and seriously, its stats are so well balanced for a 3rd gen Pokemon. It seriously knew a lot of decent moves such as Blizzard, Rest, it could even learn Sheer Cold, it could learn a one-hit KO move. What more could you ask for? And this one kind of stuck out to me when I was a kid because when I used Sheer Cold, for some reason I had a better hit chance than everybody else did. That clearly shows the, partnership I had with my Vaporean. Number 24, we have the Whiskers Pokemon, Wishcast. Now, being both ground and water, this badass Pokemon can survive a hell of a lot of types including thunder and ice. In fact, the only thing that this Pokemon is actually affected by is grass, one of the least used types in my opinion. Now, Wishcast comes with a great move pool such as Earthquake, Future Sight, Aqua Tail, Rest, and even Fissure. This Pokemon can destroy the earth, mind blown, not to mention it can even be taught bounce. Now let me tell you, I have never seen a fish that could bounce. In addition to that, it has 3 abilities which are Oblivious, Anticipation, and the hidden ability Hydration, which cures itself from pretty much everything when it's raining. So this Pokemon can kick butt. This Pokemon's stats are so well balanced, it can go for both offensive and defensive, depending on how you want it. Number 23, next we have the Sea Slug Gastronome. Now this Pokemon is also another water/ground type, so only grass can actually fully damage it. Just like Wishcast, it too has a high HP stat and the rest is pretty well rounded, but let me tell you, this thing is as slow as a slug. See what I did there? No? Okay. So because this thing is pretty slow, I prefer to make mine like a tank. Just, throwing a Scalp for burn, recover for HP, Ice Beam for those flying Pokemons, and Earth Power, Thunder types. And now with leftovers, your opponents are gonna have a bad time. Undertale reference. Now, lastly, with his ability Storm Drain, your opponent can't really affect it with water moves since he can pretty much absorb that water and raise his own stats. This thing is slugtastic. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to hear that. Number 22, next up is the Mushroom type Pokemon, Munchlax. Now, when I caught him, he was apparently holding a mushroom. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. Now, being both grass and poison type, he does carry around a lot of weaknesses. Fire, ice, flying, psychic. But then again, it is resistant to fairy, fighting, grass, and electric, so it has that balance of typing. It has a HP stat of 114, and it takes our spot as number 23. But being honest, this Pokemon is pretty much similar to Gastrodon since it has a pretty, well-balanced stat. But with a speed of 30, yeah, he's slow. But at least he's a fun guy. But because of his stats, I pretty much turn him into a defensive wall with a Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Synthesis, and a Spore. And with Black Sludge and Regenerator, he's gonna be pretty much there for a while. Number 21, and now we have the whoops, sorry, I must have heard the song again. Yep, as you can expect, it's the balloon Pokemon, Jigglypuff. Now, let me tell you, this thing used to be so cute. I loved watching it in the anime. Every time it came on and it started singing, I would just love to watch it. But then, once the new gen came out, it became a fairy type and pretty much destroyed my dragon team. And the truth with this one is that its HP is pretty decent. I have to say though that the rest of its stats are pretty lacking compared to the others. Now I myself don't exactly use this Pokemon, but it is still cute as ever. It learns a butt ton of moves, but they're not exactly any good if that Pokemon can't keep up. Apologies, Jigglypuff. Number 20. Now, next on the list is a very strong Pokemon. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The drill Pokemon, Rhyperior. I mean, just look at it. Its awesome orange armor and bulky body. This guy can tank like crazy. But I have to say, this guy also has a lot of weaknesses. I mean, a lot. He's weak to water, grass, ice, fighting, ground, steel. For someone so bulky, she sure has a lot of exploits. Seriously, Giovanni, you really should have picked someone better. Anyways, this guy has a lot of stats in the HP, attack, and the defense department, which makes him really useful to many things such as tanks, choice bands, and even rock polish. Now, number 19, we have the drowsing Pokemon, Sharna. Now, I have to say, this Pokemon is really strong, but let's focus on the HP stat of 116. Being purely psychic, it only has 3 weaknesses, but that's not really going to matter for this one. I mean, it has a special attack stat of 107 and a special defense of 95, and you know, as you can expect with any strong Pokemon, they're pretty slow. It only has a stat of 29 speed, but, you know, you can still use this Pokemon for a lot of variety, such as a Calm Mind build, which can pretty much wreck your opponents. So, you know, while she may look cute, she is very deadly. Number 18. Now, next up on the list is the Judo Pokemon, Thra. Now, one look at this guy, and you can already tell that this guy is gonna kick your butt. I mean, just look at him. The guy's got a black belt. The only way I'll ever get a black belt is if I go shopping. Now, what's really surprising about this guy is that he's all male. You'll never see a female Thra in your entire life unless hacks. And come on, Game Freak, women can do judo too, you know. With 3 weaknesses, this guy is pretty well built with a focus on stats of attack, defense, and special defense, but still slow. With his stats, I kind of focused mine on a bulk build, but other than that, I see nothing else really worth saying, really. You're really something, Thra. Number 17, and now here we have from the 6th gen team, the Tundra Aurorus. Man, just look at this majestic Pokemon. You know it's gonna be pretty badass. And if you look at its stats, it's actually pretty good. Has great HP, special attack, and even special defense, and a very decent move pool. Not to mention the move tutors can teach him some very powerful moves like Earth Power, Outrage. But being a rock and ice, it has a lot of weaknesses. I seriously can't believe it. I mean, seriously, water and fighting is 4 times as effective. Ground, rock, steel, oh my god. I just can't see myself using this one, but still, it's pretty decent. But all I can probably ever see him is good for is a stealth rock, really. Number 16, and now we have the Mount Pokemon, Go-Goat. Now, let me tell you, when I first saw this Pokemon, I was so freaking happy. I'm not even kidding. I was so happy. Not because of its awesome stats, not because it looks like a mountain goat. No, it's because you could actually freaking ride the thing. When I first saw the pictures of this guy and us sitting on his back, my jaw just smashed through the floor. Yeah, sadly dreams were crushed when I realized it was only on certain locations. I was really hoping that it would replace the bike engine, but nah, I guess not. Anyways, with this guy I was really hoping that we would be able to jump those damn ledges, really. Damn you ledges! Anyways, with a decent stat lineup, he can be pretty nasty if used right. I have one which is similar to Miltank, going all bulk up, then Hornleech, Earthquake, and Miltank. Ugh, reminds me of Whitney all over again. Number 15, now we have the light Pokemon, Lantern. They really couldn't have think of a better name for this one, could they? Now, being both a water and ground Pokemon, this is actually a pretty good matchup, being only weak to ground and grass. This Pokemon can be really useful for many sets. With a modest nature, you can always turn it into something offensive. With an Assault Vest, he'll be wrecking for days, trust me. But he can also be pretty much on the supportive side with a Calm, and if you give him some leftovers, with a Volt Switch, Heal Bell, and Thunder Wave, it can be pretty strong. Lastly, if you want to go completely offensive, you can always add in a Choice Specs with a nature, you know, of modest, Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, and Ice Beam, and you see yourself a very strong Lantern. Number 14. Now please know that the next 3 Pokemon have the same HP stats, but I put them in an order which I believe is kind of, you know, how strong and useful they are. And so now we have the Ballwheel Pokemon, Wailord. This beach ball looking Pokemon may look cute, but it's 130 kilograms. Damn, I'm definitely not going to be able to carry that one. Anyways, while this Pokemon may have a really high HP line, it's still lacking on the other stats, being honest. But then again, being the first Pokemon of its evolution line, that's clearly understandable. You can use this Pokemon for a minor league battle. It can go with a Choice Scarf or a tank build due to its crazy HP. Number 13. Now let me tell you, this one's a fan favorite. Now introducing the transport Pokemon, Lapras. I swear, I always wanted to catch one when I was a kid, but, you know, sadly I couldn't afford a GBA as a kid. Anyways, this Pokemon is one of the best with its diverse move pool and stats. While it may have 3 weaknesses, you can still take full advantage of it with its skills, with Choice Specs, and, you know, you got Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Hydro Beam, and even Surf, not to mention Water Absorb, so it's pretty invincible against water attacks. Number 12. Now next up is one of my most favorite Pokemons. I always chose him over the others because I freaking love this guy. The never mind. The Bubble Jet Pokemon, Vaporean, taking our 12th spot on the is one of the evolutions of Vaporeon. Now back in the first gen days, we only had 3 to choose from: Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. Now everybody being smart always chose Jolteon because of its speed and power, but I always went for Vaporeon because it was blue and I loved water types. Not only does it have a high HP stat of 130, but with a special attack of 110 and special defense of 95, this guy was a strong wall. With water, absorb, and leftovers, this guy's gonna be healing for days. Number 11. Now this one actually caught me off by surprise. Then this next one here is the Big Eater Munchlax. I knew I was going to see him on this list, but I didn't think that it would be this late. This guy is one tough cookie. Now with Munchlax, he can learn a great deal of moves, being both natural and TMs. And with Belly Drum, this guy's gonna wreck. You could pretty much build this guy to be a physical, offensive tank or a sleep talk Pokemon, but I only use him to, get a Snorlax in the end. Number 10. Okay, now we've officially hit the top 10. These Pokemon have the highest HP stats in the entire game, but no, it's just HP. If you want to see them for their overall stats, please go to Cerebi or Bulbapedia. Now then, we have the balloon Pokemon Wigglytuff. Of course, if Jigglypuff is on the list, there was no way that you did not see Wigglytuff coming. With this guy, I have to say he doesn't really learn a lot while leveling up. You're gonna have to focus on TMs with this guy, but believe me, it will be worth it. Because it was originally a normal type, people didn't use it as much, but when it was a fairy type, that's when dragons had to run for their lives. I mean, come on, with a HP stat of 140, you know you're gonna be winning a lot of battles with this guy. I use mine mostly for stealth, stealth rock and focus blast. Number 9. Now, this guy is the definition of bulky. Here we have the arm thrust Pokemon, Hariyama. I remembered watching Pokemon Advanced Battle and saw Greta using her Hariyama against Ash, and as soon as I saw Makuhita in the caves, I knew I had to get one of my own. Seriously, with a HP stat of 144 and an attack stat of 120, this guy could have rivaled Machamp had he not had pretty poor defensive skills. Seriously, what he lacks in defense though, he makes up for an attack, but it won't really do him any good if he's, if your enemies are faster and they could pretty much psychic him. That's why I focus on Assault Vest build. Trust me, he will thrust like no tomorrow with that build. Number 8, we now have the Blip Pokemon, Drifblim. With an explosive HP stat of 150, this guy can take the hit, but believe me, you don't want to be riding this blimp. All of the Pokédex entries read that when it flies off, it doesn't know where it goes and it can end up anywhere. Now let me tell you, I'd rather not be riding a Pokemon that can take me somewhere awful like North Korea or school. With Drifblim, you can pretty much turn him into both an acrobatic or a special attacker. I pretty much turn mine into a special attacker with rest, since it can take a lot of damage and it can deal a lot of damage. So, it's pretty much got the entire package. Number 7. Now, next on this long list is the lazy Pokemon, me! Oh wait, nope, I mean Slaking. Then again, it's not different anyway. Now this guy has to have one of the best stats in the entire of Pokemon. I mean, not just HP, but his overall stats is a whopping 670. This guy takes the meaning of pseudo-legendary and destroys it. In fact, this guy could even take on legendary Pokemons if he wanted to. Even though he's just a normal type, he can take a lot of hits while dealing a lot of damage. And the best part, he can just rest if he gets hurt. Seriously, he's so good. I want to make an entire army of this guy and pretty much rule the world. Oh wait, one problem. This guy's lazy. Due to his ability to ruin, he's pretty difficult to use. It's like looking at a mirror, really. Number 6. Now here comes another fan favorite since he was in the anime and an obstacle in the game, the sleeping Pokemon, Snorlax. Now let's face it, this was no doubt going to be on the list, but it was just a matter of when. But really, Snorlax is far from just a tanker, he's really strong. Now because he's slow, you can take advantage of him by using Curse and increasing his attack stat and defense for speed, but it will be worth it. And with Thick Fat, Fire and Ice can go set on a flagpole since it'll only do half the damage, which pretty much makes him even stronger. Heck, you can even give him a choice band with Earthquake, Body Slam, Facade, Pursuit, and, you're set. Number 5. Now, the next Pokemon on our list is the caring Pokemon, Imola. I'm not even sure if I pronounced that right, but anyways, I just don't see it. Anyways, this water Pokemon is really high up there with the HP stat of 165. Damn, that's a large number. But sadly, due to his other stats, I really don't see myself using him as much. I mean, his defense is pretty good, and I can, kind of make a defensive wall, but other than that, there really isn't much to it. But, with a high HP, it can also be a supportive Pokemon with Wish. Well, you know what I wish for? I wish I had better stats. Number 4, we now have the Pokemon with the 4th highest HP stat in the entire game, and let me tell you, he has a high HP for a reason, cause he's freaking huge! Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the Float Whale Pokemon, Wailord. That's right, this guy takes the 4th place with an astounding HP stat of 170. Now don't get me wrong, while it is one of the most bulkiest Pokemon ever, that's all there is to it. People overlook this high HP Pokemon because it's outclassed by other water types, and you know, the best for this guy is pretty much stalling really, just throw in Substitute, Aqua Ring, Protect and Scald, and that's all you can use for it. Number 3, now here it comes folks, the top 3 Pokemon with the highest HP stat. The 3rd highest HP Pokemon on the list is the one, the only, the one we kept seeing in the anime for a very long time, the patient Pokemon Wobbuffet. That's right, the Pokemon that has been a part of Team Rocket is indeed one of the bulkiest. I mean, Jesus Christ, 190? It doesn't matter what the other stats are, it's pretty much going to be able to absorb in any damage it takes. I mean, all you need to do is give him a counter and a Mirror Coat, and yeah, your opponents are going to be crying for days. Heck, throw in a Destiny Bond, and your opponents are going to be flipping tables whenever they see this guy. Not to mention, with Shadow Tag, there's no use trying to get out of this one. Number 2 on this list is the magnificent, cute, very bulky, pretty much a Nurse Joy's best friend, the egg Pokemon, Chancy. Come on, let's face it, this Pokemon had to be on the list no matter what. I mean, its purpose is to pretty much heal. With a whopping 250, this Pokemon is the king. Whoops, let me rephrase that. The queen, you know, because they're all girls. Quite sexist, really. Come on, Game Freak, first throw and now Chancy, get your heads together. But anyways, this Pokemon can be really defensive with an astronomical HP and special defense. With the ability to use Evolite, you can pretty much have one of the biggest wall in the entire Pokemon. She can pretty much poison or paralyze your opponent while healing herself. If you think Miltank was bad, you're gonna have a really bad time with Chancy. Undertale reference. Now for the number 1 Pokemon, the moment you've all been waiting for, the Pokemon that reigns supreme amongst other Pokemon when it comes to HP. Yeah, let's face it, you guys already know, don't you? I mean, it's been like, what, 20 years since Pokemon's been released? I'm pretty sure I can say all 151 Pokemon and stand at the periodic table at this point in my life. It is the happiness Pokemon, Blissey. That's right, the one and only Pokemon you knew about with a HP stat of 255. Not only is this Pokemon super defensive, it has a wide variety of support moves which pretty much secures itself until the end. We have the one, the only, Wish, not only for itself, but its team, Soft Boil. Heck, it even learned Stealth Rock. Yeah, she's gonna be there for a while, and she's not gonna be stopping anytime soon. This thing can take in more damage than any legendaries ever will, okay? Thank you all very much for watching. If you feel like supporting my channel, please click on the link below and purchase some really cheap games. Please comment on what top 25 you would like to see next, and with that, this is Pat Rat,